The president of the U.S. Bishops' Conference is urging senators not to use Roe v. Wade as a litmus test for judicial nominees. In a letter to senators, Cardinal Daniel DiNardo writes, "We have grave concerns about the confirmation process, as though nominees who oppose the purposeful taking of innocent human life are somehow unfit for judicial office in the United States." For more on this, we're joined by Vince Coglianese, editorial director at the Daily Caller and host of Mornings on the Mall at WMAL Radio. Vince, welcome back to the program. The bishop seemed concerned about this confirmation process quickly becoming all about Roe versus Wade, whether you're for or against it. Is this justified, and do we think the confirmation process is going to be like?
Well, I think Roe versus Wade is going to play about as big of a role as it ever has, because typically when we go through these confirmation hearings, Roe versus Wade, it comes center stage, and it's typically from people who support abortion. They don't want the right to have an abortion in the United States overturned. So that means basically the entire Democratic Party will often bring this up during a confirmation hearing in the hopes of stopping any Supreme Court justice from taking to the high court who could potentially overturn Roe versus Wade, despite the fact that there are plenty of legal scholars who believe that Roe versus Wade was already bad case law, and it's entirely possible to overturn a case that has bad precedent in the United States Supreme Court. It's been done many times.
And now there's money involved. NARAL Pro-Choice America announced a 5-figure ad buy this week targeting Maine Republican Senator Susan Collins, who's expected to be a key vote, even though she's publicly stated she'll not support any nominee who does not support established law. Why target her in particular if she didn't necessarily be against them right away?
Because first of all, Susan Collins is one of the rare pro-choice Republicans. She speaks out about that. Additionally, she has already voted yes on one of these nominees in particular, Amy Coney Barrett, who's known as sort of the Catholic nomination here that could potentially come out on Monday. She's a Notre Dame graduate. She's taught at Notre Dame. She's Catholic. She doesn't expect Roe v. Wade to be overturned, she has said, but she's also expressed some idea that she could see where the Supreme Court overturns cases based on precedent if the Constitution says something that's much more clear to her. And that's why Susan Collins, who's already voted yes on her as a circuit court judge, is being pressured to potentially vote no on her or any other justice if there's a suspicion by these abortion groups that that justice would overturn Roe versus Wade.
Okay, so we'll be watching that. Also want to ask you about the embattled head of the EPA, Scott Pruitt, resigned, of course. He was implementing the Trump administration's mandate to reduce regulations in particular. Were Pruitt's, I guess, his ethics sort of a distraction, and can we expect that to sort of continue to be a problem moving forward now with the EPA?
No, I think Andrew Wheeler, who's taking over, is not going to have the same issues that Scott Pruitt had. Were they distraction? Yes, is the answer to that. I mean, it is reasonable to ask that people who come in and work on behalf of the American taxpayer not misuse taxpayer resources. But that attack on Scott Pruitt was really a proxy attack, I think, by the Democratic Party and the left, who really wanted to take him down because he was so effective at deregulating in the EPA. So they saw his ethical lapses, the ones they could take advantage of, and they went as far as they could. They got him knocked out. But for now, I think with Andrew Wheeler at the helm, the EPA's deregulation scheme, freeing up the regulations of government so that way businesses can move full steam ahead, that's going to continue at pace.
HHS, Health and Human Services, says this week they're ready to reunite parents and children who have been separated on the border. In a tweet yesterday, the president called on Congress to fix our insane immigration laws now. Congress is back next week. Can we expect any action on immigration reform, realistically?
I will never even begin to promise that prediction because Congress always fails, typically, to achieve something, especially on immigration. But they need to. If a goal is to reunite families in this process as they continue to try and prevent illegal immigration into the United States, a whole bunch of things need to change, and it starts right within Congress. The President of the United States has done everything he can so far to reinstate those families together in this process, and now it is on Congress. Hopefully they can do something.
Immigration seems to be becoming a bigger and bigger issue as we move towards the midterm elections. Vince Coglianese, editorial director at the Daily Caller and host of Mornings on the Mall on WMAL Radio. Thanks so much for your analysis.
Thank you.